All right, hello everyone, welcome back. And let's check if everything is working as intended. Make sure everything seems all right. It doesn't seem it's picking up the camera here. Not sure why. Oh, for some reason it's not picking up the web camera. Shall we try to disconnect it and connect it again? That seems to be fixing the thing. Right, sorry about that. All right, welcome back everybody. Let's continue from where we left. The last time we had an issue where it's not picking up the events of or the actual mutate data when we do the edit, right? Okay. So the first thing we suspected was that what we are working on, we're working on the policy. We suspected it's not picking up the fillable. So probably that's one thing. So to fix this, we might need to migrate all of our fillables from the model. But that doesn't really help us, does it? Any chance this has something to do with it? I won't be surprised, but let's give it a shot. No, yeah, no. All right, so, and that means we might just migrate all of that into the actual model just for and before we did that, something we had up order column. That's for the order column. All right, so let's place that back here as well. Let's see if that's the actual issue. Okay, so that means we probably want to migrate all of our fillables. Yeah, so yeah, okay, all right, easy, no worries. So that means we need to copy all of that. Really, that wasn't it's not really ideal, but it is what it is. I would rather end up with something working rather than something has the chance to fail. And I also do like to have control over everything. So location, which we don't have fillables yet for some reason. Okay, location is something we're still working on. So I just jumped ahead, sorry. And policy we just did, fillables of procedure, fillables for roster. Roster entry. It's not that bad. It's not like that we have 1,000 models or something like this. And for the user, I do believe we didn't have the shared models on the user, have we? No, actually we do. All right, so that means we still need to do fillables here. Okay. Now let's replicate or do the same for the procedure. So filament resources, procedures, and we need the form element. I'm gonna be doing the views later. We'll focus on this one first. So the style I will be taking, as I said before, is I'm going to divide the screen into 2/3. So column span full for the main group, and then the columns will be made of 3 columns, and that gives me a group which takes column span of 2, and before that we need to have the schema, and then another group which will fill the rest. And I do like the card design that section provides, so I will use the section here and a section in here as well. So we should see 2/3 section and 1/3 section. Let's go to create procedure. So what do we have? We have name and description. So pretty much a replica of name and description. So name and description. And what do we have here? We have a procedure status. Do we have procedure status? Yep, we do have procedure status. So it's a replica of, and do we have effective at? Yep, so it's literally a replica, except that it's not a, okay, we need to import the toggle button and the datetime picker, and we need to import this one, but this one is a procedure status instead of policy, so procedure status. All right. And do we have a document? We do have a document, so let's replicate this one as well, which is another section, and the schema of that section has that file. All right, let's make a fake data. Let's fix the table. So with the table, again, it will be a replica as well of the policy. And we need to import the text column. And we need to make it reorderable as well. All right, cool. Now let's do updated and created. So with the page of edit procedure, and we also need to do on the create. So mutate the data before save. We're still returning the data, but we are filling out the updated at, and on the create, we are going to do the same thing. Mutate the data before create. We're still returning the data, and we set the created by. And for the policy, I don't believe. No, we did for the create. We did for the create. Oh my God, what happened? We did for the edits. Beautiful. Cool. All right. So now, if I update this field or any field, that should reflect it. Cool. And also, it is okay. It is toggleable, which is what we want. But I want it to be toggleable by default, or AKA toggled off by default. So if I go to each table, so the policy table right here, and I want toggle hidden by default, true, is it? And toggle hidden by default, true, but that is the default behavior. So do we have a property? Yeah, okay, so it's on toggleable is hidden by default, true, and is hidden by default to true. Okay. We're gonna be doing the same for the procedures table. So we remove this one and add this one, and remove this one and add this one. All right. So let's replicate the tabs. Do we have tabs on policies? Yep, we're gonna replicate those tabs. Sorry. Let's replicate those tabs on the procedures. So list procedures as well. We are going to do the same, except we're not dealing with policy procedure. We're dealing with not dealing with policy procedure. We are dealing with procedure. All right, so that should give us the same effect. Beautiful. All right. So now under settings, we do have location types. So let's do that. Resources, and it's actually under the clusters of location, schema, location type, form. Let's see what do we have in the create location type. We have name and description. All right, so we are going to do the same thing, except it's only name and description, so there is no need for grouping. So it's going to be only a section, and that section will span full. And it is a text input for the name, and it is required, and a rich editor for the description, and it is optional. Let's make something fake. and it didn't work because we haven't done the fillables here, which is name and description. And the page of create, let's override the mutate. Now, the reason I'm using mutate the data before the create is I don't want to do the after save event because I don't want to do 2 trips to the database. Okay, so that's why I'm using mutating the data because of that, and it's really just a simple field update. So now create a new one. Let's fake the data, and we have a order column does not exist on the location type, which is expected because location type we did not put we did the migration column, or order column does not exist. So let's revisit the database and let's revisit the location types. And it's not there. So let's roll back PHP artisan migrate rollback. Probably we haven't. Let's roll back again. Location table. Okay, so let's see PHP artisan. Let's migrate from this point. So PHP artisan migrate. And let's refresh here. Location type, and it has order column now. All right, so fake the data, and that should be fine. Fake the data, and that should be fine. Now, if I go to locations, we do have few locations. So let's do the table. So table, we need a text column of the name, and let's make that one searchable. Let's add that to the search. Another text column to make the description, but this might be a little bit heavy, so let's limit to 50 characters and make sure we render the HTML, because that data is coming from rich editor, which is and now let's pick up those column. So we need to, I might later find a way on how to do this created by, updated by. And also, should we do the updated by similar to the created by on creation? Because that makes sense, right? Because the first time you create an object, it is the first time you've updated the object, right? So from logical, when you create, it is the first update. So updated by, which also going to reflect on the other resources. So policies, when we create, it's also updated by, and procedures, which also when you create, it is also updated by. So let's make that as a like a standard for us. So date All right. So that's for location and location. Sorry, that's for location type, right? Now we say in our design, we said there is a many-to-many relationship with the contract and the policy and the procedure. And the reason for this is that every procedure or the same procedure can be used multiple times or can be applicable to multiple times. A contract also can have multiple policies. So in the contracts, which we don't have a contract form yet, so let's see what do we have in the contract table. And we have the clients, we have the status, start, and I do believe we need to have a contract number, which is a uniquely identifiable field, which could be optional because some companies don't use that. But it would be good if we allow that. Okay, so let's add that. So table string for the contract number, and it's definitely needs to be unique, but I don't want to use unique from the database. And the reason for this is if I force it on the database level, we don't want to have a database admin that is always sitting on the database level and trying to fix any issues and mistakes, right? So I'd rather handle that through the database, through the business logic. And let's make it nullable. Okay. And I don't know how many times do we need to roll back again. Okay. So that should include the contract number now. Status start, meta comments. It didn't? No, it did. Okay. Okay, so let's continue. Contracts, client, contract number. Status starts on, ends on. And obviously the contract attachments, right? So there might be multiple attachments. Do we want them to upload the contract? I don't think I want them to upload the actual contract, should we? All right, let's allow that. That's going to be a string for the document. So let's roll back once and let's migrate again. Okay. So for the design, we're going to do the same thing. So contract schema form. Let's do a group with a schema with column span full and columns of what did we say, 3, and then add another group in here, and the reason I'm making a group, not section straight away, is the because I might be grouping things differently as well. So making sure I have that freedom beforehand. So column span of 2, and this one a column span of 1. And in here, we're gonna make our section card. And let's see what fields do we have. We said we have the number and the client. So the contract number is a text input, and it is a required, but the client is a select, right? It's a select of the client ID field with a relationship of the client, and the client, I do believe it has name, so create clients table. Sorry, that's a client request, so create clients table. No, because did we say the client is a user, right? So in the contract, yep, it's a user, so client ID. And let's see, in the contract, we do have a client. So the client will return the field name, which is the user. So we do have the name. We need to make that searchable, and we definitely need to preload something, and it's definitely required. Okay. And now I want those two to sit two clients, but in here it did pick up on all users because the relationship. So if we go to the contract, we says belong to user, but can we scope client? Okay, so we scope that just client, because if it's an employee, it doesn't make sense. We have it here as a client. All right, so we use that scope. We apply that scope that we made. All right, so with those two here, that section will be made of 2 columns. All right, so to make that of 2 columns, to force those two to be next to each other, and obviously if we go smaller, it will wrap, being responsive. Okay, so with the contract number, I'm gonna reuse this icon for it, or should we get another icon? Let's see if there is something nice. Number, something related to numbering. Maybe something related to barcode. Let's have a look at this Tabla barcode and see if it looks good. So in this one, let's use a prefix icon of Tabla barcode. Yeah, that looks all right. And the client, I'm going to use the same icon I use for the client. So if I go to the client resources and make sure, pick up Tabler user $, with a prefix icon user $. All right, so contract number and the client. What's next? Obviously, the status is going to it's going to always be on the right, and the documents will always be on the right as well. So we're going to have two sections for status and documents. So let's do that in here. So section and another section. So the first section will be a toggle button for the status. The options will come from the contract status. It is going to be inline, and the default option will be a draft. And refresh. So beautiful, as expected. Next is the document. So it is in file upload. For the document, it's downloadable, openable, and previewable. I'm not sure I'm gonna make it required yet. This is something we have to discuss with our first client and see what their preference is. All right, with that one, we have the date for starts on, ends on. And that, should we place it here or? First, let me add a title for this section called contract details, and another section here for the contract dates. And this one also will be made of 2 columns. And the schema is going to be a date picker for starts on, is it? Starts on, ends on. So starts on and ends on. Now this one will be not native. Okay, so I'm not going to be using the native one. So native is disabled. And it's definitely going to be required as well. All right, so that looks a little bit better now. It starts on, ends on. And in the future, we add some, maybe some JavaScript validation just to make sure the ends on is always bigger than the starts on, stuff like this. And obviously there's a lot of work we need to do with adding some helper texts, hints, and so on and so forth. Okay, so for this one, let's do create. Okay, so we need to select a client, obviously, which is what we need. And now the table. In fact, we haven't added the mutate. And with that one, we need to return the data, but also created by and updated by. For the edits, we're going to mutate, not before fill, before save. And oh, hey Pion, how are you? Mutate updated by. All right, so now we'll work on the table. So with the table, we need to grab text column for the number. and contract number, and that definitely needs to be searchable. And then a text column for the client name, which also needs to be searchable. Contract number, this one doesn't have contract number because of why? Because we didn't add it to the fillables, have we? Because we added that later at latest step, but we haven't added that to the fillable. You're making a game, you have a question? All right, hit me. What's your question? I hope I know the answer. All right, so let's make the contract number as a badge. And the badge color, or the color, let's make it success. Just to put some emphasis on the contract itself. All right, so 728. It's not searchable. Is it searchable? Have we add that contract searchable? It is searchable. And the client name. So text starts on and ends on. But there is no time for this one, by the way, so we don't need this. And let's take that. All right, so what do you think HTML with CSS and PHP work together? Because I can't seem to get it to work. Like, I mean, I can't do the specific thing which I like, a database thing where it's starting with a notepad. I can't figure out how to make a storage system. So HTML, CSS, they are front end. It's got nothing to do with the back end. It's only to render the pages, the web pages. PHP is what you can handle the backend work, which is what we're doing here, but we're using a framework, which is Laravel, and that's what you should do. It's not really recommended that you use pure PHP. So you can use something like Laravel to handle all of your backend code. As for the database, it's your choice of whatever database, but a storage system usually would be a relational database. So you can use an SQL-based database like Postgres, MySQL, and so on and so forth. Yeah, you need to pick up a framework. Definitely, you need to pick up a framework. If you decided to go with PHP language, Laravel is highly recommended. There are definitely a lot of other frameworks out there, but Laravel seems to be picking up the popularity as well. It's really good, powerful, big community, really maintained well. A lot of packages here and there to help you out, not to repeat yourself. So yeah, definitely go for Laravel. So 728. Why did that did not pick up? All right, we will deal with that later anyway. So start on, pick on. Let's steal the created by all right. So created by, updated by, beautiful. Created by wasn't picked up. Why is that? Let's create something else. Okay, it is picking it up. Okay. Contract status, obviously we haven't done that. So number status, but after all, they can all the user, they can either reset or they can rearrange the order of which column they want to see. But for me, I would like to see number status client. So number status client. Again, let's pick up what we've done with the tabs in here. For the client, for the contracts, let's list those contracts and contract status instead of policy status. So contract status. Let's import the tab, and here we use the contracts. Okay. Now start on and on, I need them to be sortable, so the user can sort by the date. So sortable for the start, sortable for the end, and also sortable for the client. And maybe sortable for contract number as well. We don't need to do the reordering because even though that it has that capability or it has that ability, it doesn't matter because it's just the contracts. All right, so now contracts we've done. Clients, we've already done those, have we? Okay, we need to handle the form. Okay, clients, pages, create. Let's mutate. Let's return the data, and let's do the created by and updated by. In the edit, let's do the same. So mutate before save, and let's return the data, and let's add the updated by. Cool. We come back to the list later. Schema. Let's see, what do we have to create client? Okay, this is what we need to be careful. The reason for this is if we create a client from here, client is a user, right? Because client behind the scene is a user in its reality. And technically, we should not be able to create a client. We should be inviting a client, right? Because there is no client model, there is only user model, and the user user account, employee account, in general, client account and employee account are by invitation. Okay, so do we have invitation model? No, we don't. Okay, so that means rather than having here, okay, so let's go back to client resource, And in the listing page, we should not have a create action. Okay. Okay, we should not have a create action. So list client requests. That should have disappeared, right? So list, oh my God, client request. I'm working on a completely different model. Okay, so it's not this one, it's this one. So in here, we should not have a create. Okay, there is no create, but we will replace it with a different action for invitation. And on the edits here, where we can do the rest of the edits information. So first of all, let's do the usual. So column span full, and let's make it columns of 3. Inside it, there will be column span of 2 and column span of 1. So a section. This is the client details. Okay. And what do we need from the client details? Well, we need a name and email, and the email will be disabled, obviously, and it will be an email disabled because we should not be able to update the email. Or should we be able to update the email? Because if we updated the email, that will update their user login as well, and we don't want to handle that. But sometimes clients, so sometimes the company will be dealing with clients that is not really computer savvy, so they do probably need some help by updating their email. All right, so for now, I will make it editable. Okay, I will make it editable, and we will take feedback from the company who will be using it and see what they say about it. All right, so let's add some icons. An email icon and carbon. Okay, I like this add symbol concept. This one is way too, looks weird. What about add? Are there multiple versions of it? Nope. Okay, let's use that one. And that one is in typo. So where is our install icon? In typo. Let's install that one. Yes, I want to install it. And let's generate the icons enumeration and the default. And what is it? It is email, in typo email. So in here, let's prefix icon with in typo of email. And unexpected token, what did I miss in here? Okay, there's some weird symbols generated here. I don't need it. I can't give it up. All right, so that's for the email user and the email for the client. But also on the right hand side, let's make the status. Do we have status? Let's go create users. Yep, we do have a status of user status. All right, so again, let's use toggle buttons with the status. The options are the user status class. I'm not going to have a default. It's going to be an inline. Create users. Let's have a look again, because there is a default. And since this is going to be only an invitation, so there is no need. And let's wrap it with a section. All right. There are more fields definitely for the clients, but right now we're not too clear about it, so we will leave it alone for the time being. So now let's work on custom action to do the invitation, which we don't have an invitation system yet. So let's make that PHP artisan make model of invitation with a migration. So let's open that, create the invitations. So the invitation will need to know who invited by, but that is going to be created by, right? So in my app migration shared one, there is a created by, so we don't need to do that. What do we need for this one? We need let's use a UUID for the token. And let's see when it ends. So let's make a timestamps of expires at. And we need to know the status, right? So PHP artisan make. It's not that complicated of a system. It's just an invitation with a unique token that comes to the email, and then the user will sign up using it. So let's make an enum of the invitation status. And with the invitation status, it is going to be of type string, and we are implementing the has label. Let's use our app enum trait, and it's case of pending when it's being sent, accepted when it's accepted, and expired. Okay, the user doesn't have the option to reject it. If they want to reject it, or if they don't want to accept it, it will be expired. Okay, so has color as well, so let's implement that interface. And when it's pending, info accepted is green, success. Should we do later we will decide if we need an icon for it. All right, so for now, let's do a table of enum status with a invitation status. And let's do pending, but we make sure we have the value for it. So pending, accepted, expired. Okay. Now let's do the invitation model, which extend our app model. And we need to do the fillable. And the fillables will be token, expired, expires at, and status. And then we need to steal some of what we've done with any other model, which is from Meta. We need to do the casts of the status, which is invitation status class, and we expires at, is it expires at? Yep, expires at as a date time. Okay, let's migrate that. Hold on. I feel something wrong. Yes, because where is this going to? So we need to string of email. All right, so where is this being sent to? Okay, so PHP artisan migrate. And now let's create a resource for it. Is it resource? No, we don't. We want the resources for it, and we're gonna put it under the settings. Yep. All right, so PHP artisan make filament resource for the invitation. Yes, okay. The invitation doesn't have a name. We're gonna place it under the setting cluster, and we definitely don't want a database. So invitations, let's pick up a nice icon for it. So is there something with the invitation related? Invite, no. What about a message? Envelope. Well, it's an invitation being sent by email, so this is a good idea. Okay, so what is this? Bootstrap icons. Let's install that. So bootstrap icons, install. And by the way, by installing so many packages, so many icons and all of those things, it's not going to slow down the application or the platform, because we will be caching all of that. So it won't be that bad. And what did we pick envelope at? So where is the invitation resource? Under cluster, resources, invitation. And we said bootstrap icon envelope at. Okay, so new invitation. Let's work on the form. So schema invitation form. It will be made of one section, and that section will have a text input of the email required, and I do believe there is an email, yep, an email validator with a prefix icon of what did we use earlier? It's table of is it at? Yep. What else do we need for the invitation? Expires at, that is auto filled. Token is auto generated. And token, by the way, it needs to be nullable, because once it's processed, we will nullify that. So let's roll back the migration and migrate again. Let's see, does your ID auto generated, or it's migration, column types, and UUID. Yeah, I don't think it will auto generate, does it? We're gonna find out soon. Let's place an email. We haven't done the fillable here, email. And not null column expires at, okay, yeah, all right. So that one is what we need to work on. So when we create, let's mutate, and obviously created by and updated by, but also we need to do the expires at, and we add a 7 days. And on the update, so mutate before save, we still need to return the data, and we just do the updated by. All right. So let's check that out in the database as well. invitation. We need to refresh. Yeah, it doesn't auto-generate, so we do need to generate that. With the token will be string UUID str. That's a Laravel helper function. So let's have a look at that one. And let's delete that one from the database. So expires at 30th with pending. Okay, that looks fine. All right, so in the edit and the view, we do need to view the rest of the details, right? So in the form, this section, so we have two sections. Actually, we're gonna go back to the old concept as well. So we need a column span. Column span full, and we need a columns of 3. And here we need 2 groups. So group of the 2/3, so column span of 2, and this one column span of 1. And this section now goes in here. And on the right, we are going to have a section which we're going to have the toggle buttons for the status, and the options are from the invitation, and it is inline, and it's not it is disabled. All right, it is disabled, and it's only visible on the edits. Okay, meaning when we create, so first of all, because you cannot manually change it, all right, and it's only visible when you do the edits. Why it's, or is it like this? Does disabled conflict with visible? No. So visible, no. Okay, it's visible on, sorry. It's visible on. Visible is a condition, like you need to actually return something from it. And so we don't have that weird line which is coming from the section, so we will make this section visible on edit. So when we create, there is nothing here, but when we edit, it's right here. Now status and expire. All right, so here as well, date, time. And actually, no, this doesn't need to be date time, does it? Yeah, it doesn't need to be. So text info, is it info? Text view, let's have a look in the info list, text entry. Okay, so text entry. So text entry of expires at, and I do believe we can make that as a date time. Okay, and we don't need to do disabled because it's just an entry text. So expires at whatever. All right, so with that one, that's cool. Now we need to do after the save. So we need to send the email after create. So this is to mutate before, but after the save, this is where we going to do send the email. Okay, so to send that email, we do need an email template first. So let's create a mailable. So where is the notification? Oh no, there's mail here. What is this mailgun driver? Postmark driver. I am using postmark for production, but not for this one for the time being. Generate a mailable. So make mail, and we give it a name. So PHP artisan make mail of send invitation. All right, to send the invitation email, we should find it in here. So this is the actual email, and in the resources, we didn't create the tag with a blade, right? So we need to the content method returns object that defines the blade template that will be used to generate the message, which is here. Refresh. Yeah, dash markdown. Or should I use a yeah, let's use markdown. So we delete this one and dash markdown, and I think it should auto create that for us, doesn't it? Yep, send invitation. And here, let's say accept invitation. Introduction, I will worry later about the content of the actual thing here. So I would say user has invited you to join app name, and the URL here will be of URL. All right, which means here we need to grab there is no attachment, and with here we implement should queue because we need it to be queued. So .env, have we activated that? Broadcast queue connection Redis, beautiful. So we'll have to make sure that the queue is working before we send. But yeah, all right. So where do we send? Configuring the sender. So view the config of mailers, SMTP. This is where we do send. So from mail address from, we need to make sure that exists in the beautiful. All right, and app name, we need to say CrewSync. Okay, now we need to accept the invitation and the constructor, and this will so public invitation, and that will auto inject it when we create that, and we need to send it. Okay, so let's do with, because there is a bit of processing. Okay, so we say content with an array of invitation. This invitation is already accessible. We need the user, right? And the user is coming from this invitation. This invitation created by, right? Created by name. And the URL will be, it's not going to be a named route, but for the time being, let's just eject this invitation because we don't have a route to accept it yet. So let's just do the token for the time being, and then we work on. All right, so user and URL, that's what we need, URL and user. So those are the two things that we need. And then in the invitation, when we create, we need to queue it. So queuing the email, so mail to whatever, and we queue it. So we use mail. Is it 2? Okay. So mail to record email, send a new invitation, and we pass it down the record. All right, so it's not send, it's queue. All right. So let's make sure the queue is working. So PHP artisan queue work. All right, and let's see if we can send an invitation. Invitations, send to ahmed@gmail.com. All right, it's been sent, and the queue hasn't picked up anything yet. Let's see, localhost 085, nothing has been set. Yeah, the queue hasn't picked it up yet. Let's have a look here. Jobs. Yeah, nothing. After save, has it been called? Has it been called? So let's die dump record. See if it's actually being called. I don't think it was called. All right. Okay, before fill, after fill, before create, because it is after create, okay? Because it is after create, and I don't believe it has a don't need this, and I do believe it's a public method. Because record will be this. Yeah. All right, now we should be sending something, or at least failing. There we go. So it has failed. Okay, it has failed, but why did it fail? We don't know yet. So let's see what's the issue. So jobs, because that's done. Failed jobs. Why did it fail? Belongs to so invitation, we don't have a relationship with created by, Because that is interesting, right? Because created by, it was created, but let's see, user created. Let's see, it has many created invitations with the invitation class and created by. Okay, I don't think that will fix it yet. That's not a fix. Okay, but okay, failed job. The exception is undefined belongs to name. So of course, because if we use user here, but it's not, right? Because hold on, create invitations table, invitation status token, created by. Okay, but that's, hold on, I'm confusing myself. Created by already exists here, so why is that? Undefined property name of the belongs to So if we check the invitations itself, first of all, okay, it has created by. Invitation model, which also has created by, which will return a user, and the user has a name. And we are sending the mail to this record. So in the send invitation is where we're having this issue. And I think we should have probably let's work again. Okay, so we were accessing the method. We should have accessed the all right, so send the invitation. It says done. Okay, nothing is here because we need to update our mail driver, which we haven't done, to use not log. Yeah, so mailer is currently log. We need to say SMTP, because right now that email has gone to the storage log Laravel log somewhere. Okay, so that's not what we want. All right, so let's activate the queue again, and now send another email. And now that email should be coming here soon. And failed again. Come on, why is that? Connection could not be established with host 127.25.25. Ah, no. .env. Because it's 1025 and not. Sorry, that was my bad. Alright, so that should be running and done, and an email should have come here, and it says table. What is this? Why is that? Ahmed has invited you. Accept invitation, and accept invitation is encoded HTML. Echo. What the heck is that? Okay. Well, at least we're sending the. We are sending. Now there is a way to test the mailables in the browser like this, and which is basically just creating that route, isn't it? Let's go to web, and rather invoice, let's do an invitation. Let's get the first, or 11 maybe. Yep, number 11, and let's return send invitation and give it the invitation. And now let's go to that URL, which is mailable. Alright, so there is a few issues in the layout. Let's see if we can fix them. So invitation, Ahmed has invited you. All this is so far so good. Button URL, is it too many columns? Is that why? So generating markdown mailable. So URL. Okay, I guess we don't need to use, probably. It's been a while since I've used those features, so okay, so that fixes the button. What about this table? What is this? Where is this coming from, and why it's broken? Let's remove the button for now. Let's see if the button is causing it. It's not the button is causing it. Or is it the button? Is it the URL section of the button? What is ruin it? Undefined variable URL. Where is that? Yeah, it does need the URL. Let's leave it empty for now. Okay, there is an unexpected token. Okay, so that's why they had that empty column, maybe. All right, this is interesting. If I type in something here, undefined constant, because it's expect a variable in here, that's why. All right, this is interesting, to be honest with you. I don't know why it's getting broken like this. And even the button, now the button is working fine. It's actually replacing or placing the layout. I don't know why. So something to think about later. With that, we need to prepare now a registration form and create a URL for a page for it. And then get the URL for it here. But I still don't know. Okay, it didn't pick up on the break line as well. Don't know why is that. But a problem for another session. All right. So now we can invite the users. What we need, let's do the table first, then take a rest and come back and finish it off. So clusters, resources, invitation, table. Let's do a text column for the email, and let's make that searchable. And we need to add the roles for the invitation, as in like what role we are inviting those users to. This is important. So let's make that a badge, by the way, and then a text column for invited by, and text column for the expires at, and this is a date time. We need the status as well. So next to the email, text column for the status. Let's fix the date time format, which will be HI. I don't need the seconds. All right. All right, so the view we'll handle the views later. But the user role, so the invitation, okay, so let's create invitations. We need to specify role ID here, right? So table foreign ID for the role class, and we don't need to specify role ID because we're going to be using the default. So let's roll back that in migration. Let's migrate that again. And in the form, or first, let's do the invitation model relationship. So belongs to the role class. Okay. And then invitation form, we add, let's see how it looks like currently. So new invitation. So email, we need a select next to the email. So let's make that section of 2 columns, or no, let's just make it under for now. So select, make, role ID, relationship role name, searchable, and preload. And it is required. Let's make sure it is required. And in the invitation, we need to allow that in the fillable, which is role ID. Okay, so what are roles? We inviting whoever. So we pick up that in the backend. So when we send that, when we create their user, and we assign them that specific, because later at some point we're going to be reflecting on roles and permissions for every logged in user, so they will see what they need to see rather than, you know, they see everything. And or probably I will be creating 2 other panels, maybe. Okay, a panel for client dashboard and a panel for employee dashboard. I don't know, haven't decided yet, but let's do an icon for the role. So what is it? Stop. No, not stop, but shield. Let's see, shield. Usually the shield is let's see, anything from the install, the one that we've already installed. None of them is nice. What did we else install? We installed Bootstrap. Yeah, shield lock from Bootstrap. I like that. So invitation form, prefix icon, Bootstrap icons, shield lock. Okay, beautiful. All right, so I guess that should be enough. Okay, let's take a quick break and come back later. All right, thanks for being here with me. I will see you later.